Steve here. So, throwing my top 20 death metal albums. Seen a couple of them. Decided to make one myself. I think I tried to make one before and I posted it and I took it back down. But decided to go ahead and do it. Right now, I'm listening to Incantations, The Forsaken of Mourning, of Angelic Anguish. That's a mouthful. Badass EP. I think it's the last with Chuck Pillard, and got a couple of the songs that eventually go on to Diabolical Conquest on here. Plus, what's awesome about this thing, it's got a cover of Death's Scream Bloody Gore. I'm sure you guys heard this, but this is badass shit. That take off. That is so badass. Way on to the list. So at number 20, Nesbith by Dimlik. Came out in 1993. What can I say about this album? It's a classic Finnish death metal album. Badass artwork. So that's number 20. Dimlik. Nesbith. Number 19, Carcass, Descanting and Salubrious, 1991. Badass album. It's classic, masterpiece. It's the first Cancer album, well not Cancer, but Carcass album I ever heard. And I believe after this was Heartwork, and then but I prefer this one. I love Heartwork though. Can't go wrong with that. But yeah, number 19, Carcass, Descanting and Salubrious. Coming in at 18, Sentenced, Shadows of Past, Finnish death metal, 1991. There's a lot of 91 releases in this pile, I'm telling you. 91 was badass. But anyway, I'm not a big fan of what came after this album, but this album, the demo, is badass. It has that normal Finnish death metal sound, doomy, and just badass. Yeah. So number 17, number 16, more Finnish death metal. Another 1991 release from Finland. This is Convulse, World Without God, and I'm planning on listening to this motherfucker today. After seeing it, this is one badass son of a bitch. This should be way up there on my list, and there was just so many good albums that just kept on getting pushed back, but just because it's not at number one doesn't mean it's not number one in my book. If that makes any sense. Anyway, yeah. Number 16, Convulse, World Without God. Number 15, Dismember, Like an Ever-Flowing Stream. Another 91 release. This is Back on Black reissue. See, I made a mistake. About 20 years ago, I got rid of a lot of my death metal albums. And then now I'm trying to rebuild it back up. But anyway, it's hard to find this son of a bitch. It's hard to find any Dismember without have to sell your car to buy a cassette, pretty much. But anyway, yeah, Dismember. Alright, this is just gold. 1991 at number 15. There you go. Some Garth. This is Garth Brooks, guys. Some Grave. You'll Never See. I believe it came out in 93. I'm not sure. Anyway, yeah, this is a badass motherfucker. I mean, it's a toss-up between Into the Grave and this one, and Solace comes in. It would be number 3. It's the third album they released. But this one and Into the Grave kind of swaps. Right now it's this one because it's a Morbid Way to Die. That's my favorite track on here. my favorite Grave song. But yep, number 15, Grave, you'll never see. That might have not been 15. What's 14? Okay, here's 13. Shit, I'm all messed up. Anyway, this is Entombed and Left Hand Path, we all know. Came out in 1990. 1990, death metal releases were, cause of death by Obituary, the Cannibal Corpse, Eaten Back to Life, and this is another one that came out in 1990. Badass album. Mainly got this album for the album cover on cassette, and went in the backyard where we had to listen to this kind of metal when I was a kid, and it was one of those fall mornings when we listened to it, and man, every time it's fall I have to put this puppy on. Badass. Heavy. For the longest time this was the heaviest album I ever heard, but badass shit. Entombed, Left Hand Path. Number 13. I got kind of whacked up there for a minute. DSI Legion. This album kick ass. When I first heard it, I didn't like it. I mean, it is what it is, but I didn't like it when I first heard it. And then one day, I popped into cassette, and we had the Prophet come on, and it clicked. Badass shit. Heavy, fast, brutal, and I believe it came out in 92. I could be wrong, but I think it came out in 92. Badass shit. Number 12. Bolt Thrower, Fourth Crusade, 1992 release. First time I heard it, I believe one of my buddies played it for me while we was playing it, and like, what the hell is that shit? And showed me the cassette, and I went and bought it the next day, and it's been my favorite Bolt Thrower album ever since. And you can't go wrong with this motherfucker. Can't go wrong with any Bolt Thrower. As a matter of fact, all their albums are good, but this is my favorite out of all. Bolt Thrower at number 12. Number 11, Pestilence, Consuming Impulse. We've all heard this. I believe this came out in 1990. Another death metal album from 1990, maybe 89. I can't remember. I bought this album the same day I got Metallica's Injustice for All, so whenever I hear Injustice for All, I have to play this album, or vice versa. Badass shit. It was a badass fucking album. It's kind of thrashy, but you could feel the death. Badass. Number 11. Now we're in the top 10. I gotta get a drink. This next album, 1992 release. Nasty shit. Yeah. I'm drinking some Theraflu right now because coming down with something. I hope it's not coronavirus, but we'll see. Anyway, so number 10, 11 Creation, Retribution. I got this album back when it came out, not this copy, but the cassette, and mainly for that artwork. And it took a little bit time for the album to actually grow on me, but now it's a badass motherfucker. When it clicked, it clicked. And that's a badass fucker. Twice into number 10. 11th Creation, 1992 with Retribution. Number 9. It's a Immolation, Dawn of Possession, 1991. Badass year, like I said before, for death metal. It's probably, I don't know, it's hard to describe how badass this album is. It's a badass motherfucker. I had this for years. I found it at a bookstore, and I had to have it. I don't know, it's not a reissue. It's not a Listenable Records reissue. It's a Roadrunner or RC. The artwork is just a badass. I believe this is the second or third death metal album I've ever heard. First being Morbid Angel's Blessed Are the Sick, and or Blessed Be the Sick, and this come in sometime after that. Mainly picked it up because that I could tell that by the logo it had to be death metal. Yeah, Immolation number 9, Dawn of Possession. And this album and that album goes hand in hand. But this is a 1992 release, Incantations, Onward to Golgotha. Between this one and Diabolical Summoning, I know, Conquest, it kind of switches back and forth. But this album is a badass motherfucker. Relapse reissue, I don't give a shit. Some people start crying, well, that's no original press, and show me a picture of the original. I don't care, it still fucking sounds the same. God damn. But this is badass album. Incantation at number 8 with Onward to Golgotha. Number 7, Death. Spiritual Healing. It's the first Death record I ever heard. This came out in 1990 or 89. I don't know. This is a badass fucker. Not a lot of people show this one. They'll usually show Scream Bloody Gore, which is awesome, or Leprosy, which is awesome. But this is that trilogy of gore. This is my favorite one. Mainly due to Living Monstrosity. I freaking love that song. Spiritual Healing. God dang, this album's so good. Anyway, yeah, so number 7, Spiritual Healing by Death. Oh man. Putting them back in the sleeves. Do you guys ever get that? Damn, I gotta put all this shit back up later. I do. So number 6 would be Morbid Angel's Altars of Madness. Funny thing is about this album is it's the second Morbid Angel I heard. The first was Blessed Are the Sick, I just said that. But this one was number 2, and the first time I heard it was actually walking through the park here in Missouri, and I found a Walkman, and it didn't have the headphones or anything. It was just the tape player. Battery's dead, but when I picked it up, it actually had a copy of Altars of Madness in it. I still got that cassette. I took it home, listened to it, and was blown away by this album. So yeah, Altars of Madness by Morbid Angel. I believe this is 1989. Badass. And favorite, this is number 5. It's my favorite Cannibal Corpse album. Not a huge Cannibal Corpse fan, but there's a couple albums I really dig, and I think this deserved to be in the top 20 list. The original album was just this part, and then they reissued this Metal Blade reissue. Badass freaking album. There's not a bad song on this album whatsoever. You guys know that. This album just freaking rules. I believe this came out in 1994. First time I heard this was on a canoe trip, or on the way to a canoe trip. I believe the first song I heard on it was Stripped, Raped, and Strangled. And it was just so catchy. Badass album. Cannibal Corpse, the bleeding. Number 5. Number 4, Obituary, slowly rerot. This is my favorite. Cause of Death is a lot of other people's favorites. I love that album, but this is the favorite one for me. So especially when slowly rerot and that bell comes on, bang! His vocals on this are fucking killer. This is a Roadrunner reissue, I believe, and I've listened to this sucker over and over. I believe this is 89. The 89 death metal release. Obituary coming in at number 4. Badass motherfucking album. Can't go wrong with that one. Number 3, Autopsy. Severed Survival. I mainly got this album. I'm a bass player, and I love Steve DeJoy, whatever his name is. I love his bass playing, and it's not pictured in the back here. I think he was just a guest or studio session bass player, but man, this is a badass album. And the artwork is so killer. Hellraiser, it's badass shit. Autopsy coming at number 3 was Severed Survival. And the last 2, man, these 2 fight each other for being number 1. In my book, they're tied, but I've got to do a number 1 and a number 2. So my number 2 is Sinister, Diabolical Summoning. Somebody said it best. This is proto death metal, brutal death metal. The album cover's sick as fuck, and it's a badass album. You cannot dislike this album. If you haven't really paid attention to this album, that's number 2 for me. It's just powerful death metal from Netherlands, and I believe it's 93 or 92, can't remember, somewhere around there. And number 1, my number 1 favorite death metal album of all time, and it's a 1991 release from New York. Suffocation, Effigy of the Forgotten. Oh, I love this freaking album. I don't really remember when I heard it the first time. I remember the first time I heard it that I listened to it. I kept on flipping that tape over and over and over and over again. So it was one that immediately clicked with me. It still does. I thought back then when this came out, it's like, I love Slayer's breakdowns, and I said finally there's a death metal band doing breakdowns like Slayer, and it's badass shit. Boy, that's my number 1 album, number 1 favorite death metal album, right there. Hope you enjoyed that. Hopefully some people watch that and check some of these bands out if they haven't, and if not, awesome stuff. There was some honorable mentions. I was going to tag that on at the last. Massacre from Beyond, honorable mention. Gorguts, Erosion of Sanity. Another honorable mention is Opprobrium, Beyond the Unknown. I have the Incubus cassette version of this. They had to change your name because that piece of shit Incubus band I really can't stand. Pardon me, bullshit. This is better. And last honorable mention is Carnage, Dark Recollections. Badass shit. Anyway, out of here, bye.